Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for this short kind of bonus video on setting intention. I thought that I would do a separate video for this because this is such a big subject. I actually took a course that went on for about a year, once a week for a year, where we worked with intention and manifestation. And there's a lot of subtlety to it and nuances to learn about it. But I just want to touch on it now because setting intention can really kind of up the benefit of your spiritual practice. If you set an intention that is in line with your soul's intent, and that's a whole subject right there. How do I figure out what's in line with my soul's intent? But if we're able to hone our intentions so that they are in line with that, then we'll see huge benefit when we go to practice yoga. So let's tune in for a moment before we begin. Holding your spine up tall, focus at your brow point. Bring your hands together in prayer pose at the heart center. Inhale to begin. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Satgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Satgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Satgure Name, Sri Guru Deve Name. Inhale deeply. Hold the breath in, pull root lock. Focusing at the brow point, drawing the energy up. Keep the hands where they are. Exhale all the way out. Inhale again. Pull root lock. Hold the breath in. Suspend the breath. Focus at the brow point. Feel deeply throughout your body. And then exhale, relaxing everything. Hands to the knees. You can focus at your brow point and just listen as I speak. Each of us has a soul's intent in this lifetime. Our soul incarnates and there's a plan. There's some type of lesson or trajectory that we're trying to go through in this lifetime. The more that we can align to that, the more on track and on path and on point we are. And of course, obviously, the more we're not aligned with that, the more we're kind of like driving in a ditch type of thing. We're not on the path, we're not on the main road, and it takes us longer to get to that place where we're trying to go. So working with intention with our spiritual practice is one way to really quicken that. The way that intention works is that we set a positive affirmation for ourselves, and then we project it out through our third eye point and we let it go. And then we see what feedback comes back to us. It ends up being a feedback loop. So whenever I set intention, I know that the universe, or however you want to put it, universe, God, spirit, is always going to send feedback. So if I set an intention that is not at all in line with my soul's intent, I will actually receive feedback that that's the case, so that I can correct my trajectory in that moment. So let's say that let's see what's an intention I could choose. Let's use fear, because that's a common one that a lot of people have. So let's say I have a lot of fear. So I set the intention to release fear. So I start my spiritual practice, let's say I'm doing some spinal flex or whatever, and all of a sudden I start having a train of thought going through my mind. Maybe I'm just making stuff up now. Maybe it's around, I'm not safe in the world. Things that are coming up mentally might be things about what you believe personally, what you believe about others, or what you believe about the world at large. These are your belief systems coming up. So if I have the intention to release fear, it would be natural that I would start to become aware of what kind of thought programs, thought patterns, belief systems I have in place that are holding that fear in place. So that's one way that the feedback might come. Another way is that all of a sudden, for the next 3 days, I might have experiences of huge amounts of fear coming up. Well, I set the intention to process fear or let it go. So it would be normal that it would be coming up to the surface to be let go. So that's my feedback. That's actually a great intention, and it's happening. Now, can I allow that in that compassionate space without glumming on and fueling it with more thought and getting in there and thinking about it? Can I simply just experience it and let it go? Let it be detoxed, processed? Another way feedback might come is it might come through the creation, meaning that it might come through something that somebody says to you. It might come on billboards that you drive by. You might see, trucks that have sayings on the side going by. The universe is going to be speaking to you. Either you're going to notice internally what's coming up, or externally the messages are going to start to come. So when you receive those messages, then you can tweak your intention to take that into consideration, whatever the feedback was. So now, if the feedback was, I've got this thought pattern that I'm not safe in the world coming up, then I might tweak my intention now to transform, let go, change, however you want to say it, that thought pattern. So then my intention becomes now to, transform is probably a better word, transform my thought patterns, my beliefs around feeling safe in the world. So I might set the intention, because I want to do it as a positive affirmation for myself. I am safe in the world. And then when I set that, now I'm looking for feedback again. What feelings arise? Oh, maybe I feel anger this time. Oh, so maybe there's some pent-up anger that I have that's holding that particular thought pattern in place. Because emotion tends to be the congealing force and the glue that holds our belief systems in place. So when we have unprocessed, pent-up emotional energy, until it gets transformed into something more positive that benefits and supports us, it stays stuck in that state, and it holds whatever thought patterns are with it stuck in that state too. So that's why it's important to be able to feel what you're experiencing without glumming on, attaching, and fueling it with thought. Because we just hold on to it then. We're actually trying to transform, let go of, change, just allow these stuck states to move within us so that things can realign in a way that is more what's the word I'm trying to think? Like in alignment with our soul's destiny. So let me just think for a moment if there's anything else that I wanted to add to this. So when we set intention, we always want to do it in the form of a positive affirmation. So that means that if I wanted to let go of fear, one way of saying it wouldn't be to say, I don't want to have any more fear, because I've put the word don't in there, so I've put it in the negative. Or, I intend not to have fear anymore. Well, I put the word not in there, so I've put it in the negative. So always put it in the form of what is it that you want instead, rather than what is it that you don't want. What is it that you want instead? Now, how do we know if the intentions we're setting are in alignment with our soul's intent or not? That becomes the question. We can simply ask ourselves in a meditative way, what do I most need to work on in this moment? And then tune in with Ong Namo, Gurudev Namo, and simply notice what arises. You know, the first probably at least 6 years of my spiritual practice, this is what I did every day. I just sat down on my mat, and I might spend a bit of time journaling about what's up for me right in this moment, what's going on. And then I'd become quiet, and I'd ask, what do I most need to work on in this moment? I'd tune in with Ong Namo, Gurudev Namo, and something would always arise, pretty much instantly. Either there would be an emotion arising, or there'd be a certain kind of, thought going through my mind. So that would be my feedback right away. Oh, that's what I most need to work on in this moment to be in alignment with my soul. So let's say I worked on a lot of anger in my earlier days. So my intention would be to release anger or transform anger. Just something simple like that. And then you see what the feedback is, and then you can tweak your intention if you need to. Now, if you have a pretty strong relationship with your soul, you've already developed that, then you can tell just by what's most up in this moment for you. If you're having a struggle with somebody, you can just reflect and ask, well, what's the nature of that struggle? Well, I'm angry, or I'm afraid, or I don't feel listened to. Those are those are judgments, right? Like, I don't feel listened to. I don't, so you've got a thought thing that needs to shift there. If it's emotion, there's pent-up emotion that needs to be processed. And it's okay not to know, kind of the whole enchilada. Start with the bit and the piece that you do know. Intend around that. And then the universe is going to give you the other parts to it, and you can build upon it. And it's kind of like following a thread through time and space. And in this way, it develops this relationship with your soul and with the universe, where there's this constant give and take. The universe is constantly giving you feedback and experience that either supports what your intention is, or tells you what the obstacle is for that intention. So if I intend for happiness, and within a few hours, or maybe even within that spiritual practice, I start to feel, extremely unhappy, and maybe I'm feeling, jealousy or something, whatever it is, that gives me feedback. Oh, okay, so my obstacle to happiness right now is jealousy. I need to transform the jealousy that I'm feeling, so I intend around that. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I know this is a big topic. And for me, when it was first introduced to me, I think I might have had some special training at another time in my, not in this lifetime, but in past lifetimes. Because as soon as somebody pointed this out to me, I was able to kind of jump in and do this process with no problem. So for that reason, I kind of assumed that was the same for everybody else. But in teaching it over the years, I realized that this is actually a very difficult thing for people to do. And you might not get it right off the bat. It might take you years to really be able to master that process of setting intention and recognizing when feedback comes back. But it comes in time. It's developing your awareness, developing your ability to feel within your body, be aware within your body, developing your ability to reflect on what happens in your life, what comes to you. And it'll come in time, but this will really strengthen your spiritual practice, or really, I guess, maybe get the best bang for your buck out of your spiritual practice. Because you set your intention after Ong Namo Gurudev Namo, or before even. I like to do it a little bit after I've done a little something to stir up, so a little bit of breath work or some warm-ups first, then set my intention, because I feel like I get into a deeper space where I'm more in tune with my inner being, my soul, my essence in that moment. So I feel more prepared to tune into what's actually needed in that moment. But you can play with that and see where it works best for you. So you set your intention, And then you begin your practice. So let's say we're going to do a spinal warm-up. And you're just doing all the things that we normally do, which is being aware and witnessing, and just knowing that every single sensation, every single emotion, every single thought, everything that's happening now is in response to that intention. So be aware, pay attention, notice what's coming up, because this is your feedback. And also realize that everything we're doing is helping to process whatever the obstacles are and to clear the path for you to actually manifest whatever that intention that you've set has been. So let's take this practice into our next, how many classes do we have? Next 5 classes, and really begin to experience the richness of our spiritual practice. So thank you all for tuning into this shorter lesson today, and we will see you for class 3. Sat Nam.